Hello, transport nerds and fellow planners. Welcome back to Talking Planning, and it's been a little while since I've done a train review. So, let's go and change that. With my last Metro Trains Melbourne review looking at the HCMT, the high capacity metro train, I thought it would be good to bookend that by looking at the oldest type in the fleet, the Comeng trains. Today's train review is focused on units which are refurbished by EDI, and I'll cover the Alstom refurbished units in a separate review. Let's get to it.
Good morning, customers. Your next service to departing platform 9 will be the 9:16 Melbourne.
The Comeng nameplate is proudly and prominently displayed over the intercarriage doors, a design decision that's not particularly common on modern rolling stock. Back in the 80s, Comeng units rolled out of the Dandenong factory bound for VicRail and then the Met. From there, these trains migrated into the convoluted double franchise rail network model of the late 90s and early 2000s, receiving refreshers under each respective operator before operations were merged back into a single franchise. I'll leave that story to be told by a local because honestly, I'd probably get lost somewhere in the multiple operators and sub-networks. Upon their release, the Comeng trains were quite advanced and featured air conditioning, a first for the Melbourne suburban network. When it comes to cool commuting, however, Queensland's electric multiple units pipped them to the post, but these were a pretty close second. After it was realised that Harris trains were unable to be refurbished for suburban use, the Comeng order was increased to 190 three-car sets, which allowed the type to replace the rapidly ageing Tate sets, as well as all remaining Harris trains. Given Melbourne's 4 seasons in one day reputation, having air conditioning and heating would have been pretty special 40 years ago on a commuter train. Being a June day when I recorded this, however, it was the heater that was getting a workout. Over the years, Comeng trains have had a number of refreshers, but all of the EDI refurbished ones I caught on my Melbourne trip back in June have yellow handrails and the PTV seat fabric, consisting of triangles in a blue pattern or an orange pattern for priority seats. That being said, a little extra padding would be nice as these seats are fairly firm. Compared to Sydney's K-sets though, the recent refurbishment of the Comeng trains has done quite a good job of making these feel fairly fresh and modern, despite these trains being similar ages. On my prior Melbourne trip in late 2019, I remember catching a couple of Comeng units with the older style seat fabric, and I think the new design makes a big difference in terms of creating a light and airy interior feel. These EDI units haven't been refurbished quite as heavily as the Alstom carriages, and still feature scrolling orange LED signage inside, rather than the full LCD screens that the Alstom trains now have. Doors have been a talking point for these trains over the years, and unlike the newer Nexus, Extrapolis and HCMT trains, which feature button-operated doors, both series of Comeng trains utilise handle-operated pneumatic doors. Nowadays, they have a flat door handle, but in the past they had a doorknob-style handle, which unfortunately led to a number of incidents where, less than savoury passenger behaviour allowed people to force the doors open whilst the train was in motion. In other upgrades, emergency assistance panels and CCTV has also been retrofitted, which are key safety features for trains in a modern rail network. Like the rest of Melbourne's suburban network, these run on 1600mm broad gauge track, and the carriages are wide enough to fit 5 seats across, although with a fairly narrow aisle. So let's have a quick listen as we travel along.
Laverton, stopping all stations direct to Laverton.
Something I find a little unusual about the Comeng units are the flip-down wheelchair seats. Instead of having individual bucket seats which fold down, the whole bench folds. It certainly gets the job done, but it doesn't offer the same level of flexibility as individual folding seats might, which would be useful for someone with a pram, someone with a suitcase, or someone carrying like a foldable shopping cart.
They are arriving at South Kensington. Now arriving at Ormond.
On the whole though, the refreshes over the years have meant these Comeng trains hold up pretty well, and they still offer a fairly smooth ride and a decent range of features which should be expected on today's rolling stock.
Now arriving at Southern Cross.
So, thank you for joining me, and I will see you again soon.